God is a Bullet is a film that we watched, and Kaylee's already upset.
I'm upset.
This stars Jamie Lannister,
Yeah.
who I don't know how to say the guy's name.
He's Swedish, right?
I don't know. Is he?
I don't know now. I don't know why I thought he was Swedish.
Micah Monroe is the other person in this movie who's a horror darling in the community. So that is what sold me on this film. What got me excited because it's Micah Monroe. It has a horror label. Now, do I think the horror label applies here? I don't know. No, maybe, depends.
Yeah.
Right? So what this movie's about is a child is abducted and a former cult member tries to help the father get her back. The former cult member is Micah Monroe, and Jamie Lannister is the father who's missing his daughter. Now, this goes for that, like, revenge style film where the dad will stop at nothing, and the film reminded me a lot of an S. Craig Zoller film in the way that it was executed and written. Craig does films like Brawl in Cell Block 99, Dragged Across Concrete, Bone Tomahawk. He does these very visceral films with very ugly characters. Everyone says the F word every 10 seconds. There's a lot of like extreme violence on screen. It feels like that, but not as good. I love S. Craig Zoller films for the most part. Big fan of Bone Tomahawk and pretty much all of his films actually, but some more than others. This one is just a very ugly movie. Like, every character in it is like the most despicable humans on earth, and even the good guys are very high and mighty, very judgy, preachy, and I don't know, man. The movie's just such a downer. Like, it's a rough watch because of just how ugly everything in the movie is.
Yeah. I didn't like this film.
Yeah.
I really didn't like it. I was trying to get into it. I was really trying to like give it a chance because I think that like both of them are really great actors and their performances weren't bad or anything. I don't know. I could not get into the story. I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't buy their relationship, which is what I think should have been the thing to win me over because it's like this age gap relationship but
what are you trying to say?
I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. I didn't feel like they had the right chemistry for me. Like, it just didn't work. I just could not relate to anybody, and no. I didn't really like the way it was shot. Like, I didn't like the style. Yeah. I just was really not into it, and then I was super bummed out by it, and I'm fine with, like, movies being, like, heavy and having, like, hardcore stuff, of course. Like, it's not that I didn't like, because, like, there is some really graphic violence in this that looks pretty, like, awesome. Like, definitely wasn't. I guess I should have expected that, but I kind of wasn't. So when it happened, it took me off guard, and I was like, oh my god, like, that's, like, it looks real. Even though I know you were saying some of the stuff was, like, really, like, CGI'd, but
I think you weren't wearing your glasses.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have the best vision, so when I see things, I'm like, whoa.
Some of it was really rough CGI, but I'd rather see it on screen than not. I guess I don't know.
But yeah, I don't feel like anybody, like, I don't really feel like there's a lot of, like, character progression, like, for their arcs. Like, there is obviously, like, there's an ending and there's, like, big stuff that happens, like. But I just didn't feel like anybody really grew or changed, and I feel like that's also kind of the point of the film in a lot of ways, too. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be like, like, people learn their lessons, and, like, whatever. Like, it kind of is just, like, people are flawed, and we're stuck in our ways, and, like, blah, 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 and I don't know. It really wasn't a good film for me.
It's a very, very cynical film.
Super cynical.
And there's definitely, you have something else to say. I'm gonna go on a tangent.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think, you know, like, there was a point in my life when I used to be, like, a really, like, when I was a teenager, I was really cynical and angsty.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, like, that version of me would have responded better to that, but I'm not that person anymore. So when films, but I get it, though. Like, I think that it's obviously, like, art is there for people to express their, like, you know, their point of view and their perspective and, like, whatever. Like, that's totally fine, but just because of where I am now in my life, I just really, the relating thing I could not relate. That's all I was going to say.
I'm actually glad you said that, because I am going to say now, since you said that's a perfect example here. This film feels like it was written by a teenager.
Yeah.
It does. It feels like a very angsty teenager. And this is the most try-hard film I've ever watched, maybe in my entire life. Every bit of dialogue is forced to be like the most evil, the most angry, the most cynical, it's dialed to 20,000 in every single bit of dialogue. Everything feels uber forced.
And
everything feels very, very, like, as I said, cynical. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to add on and say, like, it's also, I feel like the writing, like, the dialogue was very unnatural and
100%.
Unbelievable. Like, it's like somebody
100%.
trying to write, like, poetry, kind of.
But, like, very cynical poetry with the F word every 3 seconds.
And it sucks, because there's plenty of movies where it's, like, the dialogue isn't necessarily natural, but it's, like, super beautiful in whatever way, you know, it's written. Where
Quentin Tarantino is the perfect example of what you're referring to.
Sure, where it's very, like, reality adjacent, like, people don't talk like that. Or even, like, Wes Anderson, which is a totally different vibe, but, like, same kind of thing, right? Where it's, like, quirky, and you're like, oh my gosh. And obviously that doesn't work for everybody, but with this one, it was just, it felt very hokey, and I just wasn't buying into anything. And I also, like, there's a cult in this, and, like, it's not a spoiler, but, like, their thing is tattoos. Like, they have a lot of tattoos. And as far as, like, the try-hardness that you mentioned, I thought that they were scary, but at the same time, I also felt like everybody was trying way too hard to be scary. And, like, I feel like real life people, when they're scary, I don't know, it's just a different feeling. And I didn't get that. It just was, I don't know, I couldn't really suspend my belief.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some very recognizable names here, like Ethan Suplee and Brendan Sexton. And they usually play hard asses, most recently with Ethan Suplee, obviously, before he was like the fat, lovable guy, but now that he's gotten buff, he's more of like the biker dude and whatever. And they are scary. I'm not going to say they're not.
They are.
But it is. It's just, as I had said, and I will continue to keep saying that, it's just the most try-hard movie I've ever watched. It really is, because with Quentin Tarantino's writing, even though, yes, there is F words every 5 seconds and the films can feel cynical and whatever, there is a poetry to them. And while the dialogue does not feel realistic at all, it feels realistic in the world that it's portrayed in, right? When you watch Pulp Fiction and Jules and, Vincent are talking, the way they bounce off of each other, and of course this is because Samuel Jackson just can deliver anything, and John Travolta was just perfectly put in that role. There's just something about that, where when they bounce off of each other, and the Royale with cheese and their conversation they have at the diner and all that shit, and you're gonna be a bum and all that stuff is so funny, and it's so poetic, and it's so iconic, and all of this just felt like, I don't know, it felt like a rough draft of a script, and pretty good actors forced to just meet this vision of an angsty teenager that wanted to try to make like a Quentin Tarantino-esque, Craig Zahler-esque film, but just didn't have anything to really say.
Also, there was like a subplot that was going on that I was so confused about.
Yeah.
And like I was really like, am I not paying attention enough? Like, am I missing? But I don't know. I still felt like at the end, I just could not understand what was going on with that and why it was included.
And it amounts to nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this movie, we also need to add here is 2.5 hours
it's
long.
It's so long.
And that subplot is like 30 minutes of this film.
Yeah.
And to me was completely unnecessary. It deals with January Jones and a couple other actors. So that's what if you watch the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. That stuff 1000% could be cut from the film.
Yeah.
I actually thought Micah Monroe was excellent in this as that like hard ass, like total psycho. I thought she was the highlight of the movie. I mean, I thought she was hot as hell in this movie, so that definitely helped. But I genuinely think this was the least Micah Monroe I've ever seen her be. This felt nothing like Micah Monroe from It Follows or The Watcher or Significant Other or any of the other movies that I've seen her in. Right? This felt like a completely different chick. And please put tattoos on Micah Monroe in every fucking movie. Give her this haircut. Jesus Christ. What a fox. But I don't know, man. Another thing, too. I know it's a movie and it doesn't matter. But, dude, you cannot get this many tattoos in one sitting and then just heal overnight. This is one of the most ridiculous things. And then the tattoos ends up really not even applying to the film at all. You'll know what I'm talking about if you watch it. This movie was produced by Jamie Foxx, and he shows up in it as this black man with vitiligo and like a hook hand, and he's a tattoo artist. I liked him in it. I thought he was good, for sure. I liked the look of him. I liked the makeup for his vitiligo was really cool. His tattoos. The tattoos in the movie mostly look fake as fuck. Everybody has like 180, so I'm sure whoever they hired to do it was just exhausted.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't care. Just put a Sharpie on him. I don't even give a shit anymore. But the tattoo thing did get very eye-rolly because they make such a point of it in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, it has to be done. I don't know. I will say, though, in the end, I was invested in the main two characters and did care how it ended. And I was actually happy with the last 5 minutes of the movie. But for the most part, this was a rougher watch that I will admittedly say Micah Monroe's hotness is what got me through the movie. Straight up. Other than that, man, I was struggling with this film for sure. No joke. I was just sitting there like, God damn, this dialogue is forced. God damn, these bad guys are just so bad.
Yeah.
Like they're just they I don't know. It's weird because there's certain things like Brandon Sexton and everybody, like, they did at times look genuinely terrifying.
Sure.
But in then other moments, it just felt very eye-rolly.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, it's just too much. There's a balance that you gotta find. And I don't know. There was I'd say my biggest issue with the film is the believability of everything. I just didn't buy. And here's another thing. This is maybe even a bigger gripe, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. But Jaime Lannister's character here, I'm just going to call him Jaime Lannister, deal with it. I never really felt that, like, absolute sense of urgency to get his daughter back. I knew he was, like, willing to go to the lengths or whatever, but, like, I don't know. It never felt like, oh, my daughter's probably being raped right now. And like, oh, my daughter's probably might be murdered right now. And I probably shouldn't be just sitting here flirting with a girl half my age while my daughter's probably being raped. And then once like everything's resolved, I just thought it kind of just was very anticlimactic in that aspect of the film.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This movie could have been cut an hour down, tone some of the shit down, and I would have definitely been a bigger fan. And if we could have made our main character feel like there was this genuine sense of urgency, because I've watched 1,000 movies like this. I mean, I grew up on action films. You know, I've seen freaking Taken and all these movies where some dude's kid gets taken, Commando, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, in Commando,
yeah,
when John Matrix is out there looking for his daughter, bro, it is his fucking obsession. He's getting her back. You know, when Liam Neeson's character in Taken is his daughter goes missing and he's got those certain set of skills, that motherfucker is focused. He is ready to kill everyone and anything that gets in his way. John Wick, you know, whatever. When someone's, I just never felt that focus. No. I never felt that urgency. I never felt it was just kind of like, let's get a hotel. Yeah. We'll just fucking like, you know, lay in bed together. And we'll just, you know, we'll just go get tattoos. And I'll just, it was like weeks.
I know.
Right?
Like a lot of
it's like, no, dude, we're just driving straight there and I'm shooting every motherfucker immediately.
Yeah.
But the infiltration is like part of the movie and it never is part of the movie. I know, so anyways, I'm done. Anything more?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So 2.5 hours, absolutely not. No. Just, yeah, that's it. All right, guys. Bye.